إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستهديه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا وسيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدًا عبده ورسوله أدى الأمانة وبلغ الرسالة ونصح الأمة. اللهم صل عليه وعلى آله ومن دعا بدعوته واستنى بسنته وهدى بهديه إلى يوم الدين. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم إن زلزلة الساعة تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. وبعد أيها الإخوة المؤمنون، فاعلموا أن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله، وأن خير الهدي هدي محمد بن عبد الله، وأن شر الأمور محدثاتها، وأن كل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. All praise is due to Allah. Peace and blessings be upon His Messenger and upon all those who follow His divine message. Dear brothers, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala giving us warnings in the book, His book, and His Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is giving us warnings about some weaknesses that may occur to us in this life. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam gave us one of the warnings which is very important, and perhaps we can feel these things. توشك أن تداعى عليكم الأمم كما تداعى الأكلة على قصعتها. The nations will be sitting and inviting one another, like the hungry people sitting around a dish, and everyone is inviting the other one, take this part and take this part. So this was shocking to the companions of the Prophet ﷺ. Islam was progressing, and after that Islam was progressing, and all the time Islam was progressing. So they did not imagine that the other nations will consider them like a dish and everyone will take a piece from that dish. So they asked, is that going to happen because we are few in number? And the Prophet ﷺ said, no. It will be too many, numerous, but weightless, like the scum of the flood, like the foam of the flood, have no weight. Nobody is making any consideration towards you. And the Prophet ﷺ proceeded, وَلَيَنْزَعَنَّ اللَّهُ الْمَهَابَةَ مِنْكُمْ مِنْ صُدُورِ عَدُوِّكُمْ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will take from the hearts of your enemy any fear of you. They will not fear you at all. They will not give you any consideration. وَلَا يَقْذِفَنَّ فِي صُدُورِكُمُ الْوَهْنَ. And He will instill in your hearts fatigue and powerlessness. And He used the word wahn. The word wahn is well known to the people at that time. It's not a new word. But they want to know what is the reason for that wahn. They asked him, وَمَا الْوَهْنُ? Why is that weakness going to happen? He said, حُبُّ الدُّنْيَا وَكَرَاهِيَةُ الْمَوْتِ. The love of this world and the dislike of death. So this is the reason and the explanation of that weakness that is going to be instilled in the hearts of the believer. As the Prophet ﷺ prophesied, it will happen in the future. And if you look to our state, what we see, the enemies of Islam exactly doing the same. They're inviting one another to different pieces of this Ummah. And this happened since a century. From the time of the termination of the Islamic Caliphate, the Ottoman Khilafah, and the different treaties between the different Western countries. We know the Sykes-Picot divided the Muslim Ummah into different pieces. France will take this part, the English will take that part, and so on. So exactly as if inviting one another to a different piece from the dish. وَلَيَنْزَعَنَّ اللَّهُ الْمَهَابَةَ مِنْ صُدُورِ عَدُوِّكُمْ مِنْكُمْ. And they are not worried or not afraid from us. As we can see, they can do anything, and they know that they are teasing the Muslims, but they are not considering them as existing. They have no weight. Nobody will say, I object. What's happening in Gaza, for instance, this is an indication. Trump, the leader of the biggest Western nation, is just saying that I think we need to drive out the people of Gaza out, and we take Gaza and convert it to a Riviera, to a nice place. And as if his own cake. He did not pay any attention or any consideration, neither to the people of Gaza, nor to the people supposed to be brothers of the people in Gaza. Nobody cares. Nobody pay attention to this big 2 billion people nation, because the wahan is occupying the hearts of the Muslim. The fatigue, the tiredness, the helplessness is invading the hearts of the Muslim. Is this the objective of this hadith? That the prophecy of Muhammad ﷺ is manifesting now? And did the Prophet say that so that we'll accept the situation? No. This is a warning. Something will happen. And the reason was given. Clinging to this life and hating the death. So shall we love death and ignore about this life? We listen to another hadith, what the Prophet ﷺ said. من أحب لقاء الله أحب الله لقاءه. Who loves to meet with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah loves to meet with him. And who hates the meeting with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah will hate meeting with him. So how can one love to meet with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala if he is running away from death? We meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the hereafter, after death. So the Muslim should not be afraid from death. However, the instinct of a human being is that they are worried about death. But shouldn't be to the extent that we are just falling down, afraid of death. We know that when we die, we leave people that we love, and we don't know about what will happen in the hereafter. There's a kind of worry. But the real believer knows that what with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is much, much better than whatever we have. One of the caliphs of the Muslims after the second generation of the believers, after Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, asked one of the people, well-known people at that time. He asked him, why do we hate death? Why do we hate death? And he told him, because you built up this world and ruined the hereafter. You did not build something for yourself in the hereafter, and you paid all your attention to constructing this world. So no one likes to leave prosperous places and go to ruined places. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we build something for our future, and we do our best to get out of this state of wahm, so that the Prophet ﷺ prophecy is to awaken us that we are in the deep depression. We are going down among the whole world this time, and we have to do our best to get out. How to get out? We care to have our rights, even if that's going to cost us our life. We should not be worried and afraid of death, because after death we meet with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the believer, this is the best time for him in all his life ever. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to guide us and show us the straight path that will lead to the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and to the success of us in this life and the hereafter. ادعوا الله وأنتم موقنون بالإجابة. الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله ومن والاه. Dear brothers, this state of wahm and the weakness that we are going through can be easily turned the other way around. We need to feel that we belong to one body, which is Islam. We need to feel that we are one ummah, which is the ummah of Islam. And if we don't feel that, then we are not really the one body that the Prophet ﷺ described. مثل المؤمنين في توادهم وتراحمهم كمثل الجسد الواحد. Believers, in their compassion and love and mercy is like one body. إذا اشتكى منه عضو تداعى له سائر الجسد بالسهر والحمى. If one part of this body suffers, the whole body will respond with unease and with fever. As an ummah, do we see that we are experiencing this fever because the Muslims are humiliated everywhere? The lands of the Muslims are just open for anyone to take. We need to reach to that state. وَإِنَّ هَذِهِ أُمَّتُكُمْ أُمَّةً وَاحِدَةً. Your nation as Muslim is one nation. We should not believe that these borders that they are dividing us are something divine. We cannot cross it. We shouldn't believe that those who are working hard to keep these borders should stay in their position. We should, as Ummah, change the state that we are in and use the prophecy of Prophet ﷺ to get out of this state. That the love of this life at the expense of the hereafter shouldn't be anymore. We should strengthen our faith and come as the Ummah that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala promised that they will prosper and they will have upper hand in this world. Dear brothers, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His angels make blessings and dua for the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he ordered us to do that. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم وبارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد اللهم اقسم لنا من خشيتك ما تحول به بيننا وبين معصيتك ومن طاعتك ما تبلغنا به جنتك ومن اليقين ما تهون به علينا مصائب الدنيا ومتعنا اللهم بأسماعنا وأبصارنا وقوتنا أبدا ما أحييتنا واجعله الوارث منا واجعل ثأرنا على من ظلمنا ولا تجعل مصيبتنا في ديننا ولا تجعل الدنيا أكبر همنا ولا مبلغ علمنا ولا إلى النار مصيرنا ولا تسلط علينا بذنوبنا من لا يخافك ولا يرحمنا اللهم اغفر للمؤمنين والمؤمنات والمسلمين والمسلمات الأحياء منهم والأموات، إنك سميع قريب مجيب الدعوات يا رب العالمين. اللهم اقسم لأمة الإسلام أمر رشد يعز فيه أولياؤك ويذل فيه أهل معصيتك. اللهم من أراد بالإسلام والمسلمين خيرا فوفقه لكل خير، ومن أراد بالإسلام والمسلمين شرا فاجعل تدميره في تدبيره. اللهم انشر رحمتك على عبادك، اللهم أيدهم بروح منك وامددهم بمدد من عندك، واجعلهم من الفائزين في الدنيا والآخرة يا رب العالمين. عباد الله، إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي، يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. اذكروا الله العظيم يذكركم، واشكروه على نعمه يزدكم، واستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم.